of Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz means to have manners and to be pleasant in your behavior. So he says, Derech Eretz Arabusi Ifa Pratav. There's many halachot, many aspects to having Derech Eretz, to having tact, to be aware of your surroundings, and to be understanding of other people. Because we know this, the Midrash in Sefer Vayikra, Vayikra Rabba says, Derech Eretz Kadman Torah. Before the Torah comes first, to have manners. First you have to be Adam, and then afterwards you have the Torah applicable. The Rizal says, why does the Torah not talk about the Midot, the laws of Midot? Rambam has a whole long explanation of what it means to have good Midot, have good attributes, and how to be a good person. How come the Torah doesn't speak so much at length? First the Torah starts with stories, then it gets to halachot. What about the laws of being a good person and midot? So the Rizal says it's so important to have manners and to be a good person that it was already understood. The Torah only begins once you already have these attributes, once you already are a good person. So therefore, the first thing a person has to work on is to be a good person, especially Tamid Chacham, someone who's more religious. He's held to a higher standard. And the Perkei Avot says, whoever is pleasant to people, whoever people like him, it's a sign that in Shamayim they also like you. The way people receive you in this world is how in Shamayim they perceive you as well. And therefore, a person who's Tamid Chacham, how much more so he has to be meticulous, not to upset people, and to be manner and to have manners and to be pleasant to be around. He says, what is the big rule in Derech Eretz? A person has to be willing to forgive and to give in. He has to be mevater. A person has to be not stubborn. How do you say very stubborn? Gardan tachteh, right? Where he doesn't give in to anything, nothing, no situations ever. No. When it comes to Derech Eretz, when it comes to being involved with other people, he has to make sure to be mevater, to give in. I'll tell you a very quick story. I was dating, and I was going out with my wife to some restaurant, and at the end of the meal, I guess there's a nice restaurant, they gave this plate with two little mint-looking things. And I thought it was like a mint to eat. And then, out of Derech Eretz, I let her take first. I didn't want to take. And then afterwards, she was also doing the same thing. Out of Derech Eretz, she didn't want to take. She let me take first. So we both were talking. We didn't take. We didn't touch the mints on the plate. And after a few minutes, the waiter came back out with a hot pitcher of water, and he poured hot water on these little mints, and they expanded, and they became hot towels to wash your hands afterwards. What happened? And I said to myself, imagine I didn't wait, and I didn't have Derech Eretz, I would eat this thing and have a towel coming out of my nose. I would go to the hospital. But what? Because I had Derech Eretz and she also had Derech Eretz, we ended up being safe. I don't know how the waiter went away for so long without telling us what it was. He assumed probably we knew what it was. But the point is that a person has to be willing to say, even though I want to eat, I give in, I wait. For example, in Masechet Derech Eretz, there's a whole Masechet Ktana, small Masechet in Shas called Masechet Derech Eretz. And one of the halachot we learn in Derech Eretz is if a person's sitting in somebody's house, he doesn't eat before the Baal Bayit eats. The Baal Bayit has to be the first one to take. So therefore you see that a person, even though he wants to eat, he has to be willing to give in for Derech Eretz for the owner. He says, Le'olam tzarich le'ehov et Hashema, le'mechash shema yachbid al chavero. A person has to always calculate in his mind, if I'm going to go and do this in the shul, in my workplace, am I going to bother other people? Am I going to go and cause a burden to other people? A person has to always think of maybe I'm going to bother somebody. For example, I'm eating food, I'm eating very loud. Or he goes and he puts his stuff in a public place. Am I going to bother anybody before I put this here? Should I just leave it? Sometimes people think everywhere is their house. And they think everywhere is okay. As long as I'm happy, I'm fine. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No, it matters. The person has to make sure that he has to think about other people and doesn't want to bother other people. So therefore, he says that a person has to be cognizant and thinking and thoughtful about the other person. The last thing we want to mention is, a person, Beit Hillel says, you're allowed to tell somebody who bought something new, right? He just got a new lease. And you tell him, wow, you want to tell him, wow, you're such an idiot. Why'd you buy this? Why'd you get this lease? The 2022 is going to come out in a few months. Why? You should have waited. Even though you're right, But the Beit Hillel says, what should he do? He should return it. He can't return it. He already signed it. Might as well tell him something nice. So you see that because even though you could be right, but for Derech Eretz, to make the guy feel good, you should tell him a good compliment. Because he can't return, he can't do anything. What's the point of making him feel upset? The Khatam Sofer famously said, that the Gemara says, that just like the faces of the Jewish people are different, so too their opinions are different. We said many times before, the Khatam Sofer explained, what does it mean? The opinions and the faces are both different. Why they're connected? He says, just like somebody's face, let's say he has a nose, it's crooked. So you tell him, oh, I don't like your nose, go fix your nose, get plastic surgery. It's not nice, even though you're right, his nose is not as crooked, but it's not nice to say that to him. So too people's opinions. People's opinions, we can agree to disagree. I respect your opinion, I listen to your opinion, but I can't tell you, go fix your opinion, go change your opinion. I don't like your opinion. That's his opinion. We can agree to disagree. If he agrees, good. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But a person has to know, he has to be respectful. Other person's opinion and respectful of other people, just like the faces are different, so too their opinions are different. So, B'ezras Hashem, we should to have Derech Eretz and respect one another. Baruch Adonai.